Holy, turn off the dark, Batman! Tiki here, and I have been watching through each and every episode of Batman the Animated Series and Batman Beyond for the first time. Dragon, tell them why we're here.
Well, you see, folks, long ago I made a vow to educate Tiki in the ways of Batman the Animated Series, serving as his spirit guide to Gotham in a way. But that was the past, and we must now enter the Batman's future.
Tonight, we are talking Out of the Past. That's right, it's season 3, episode 5. And Dragon, this is another just rock solid one. Really, really great episode. I feel like we've been on a great roll. I gotta be honest with you, just from a structural point of view, this might surprise you because there's a lot of stuff to like about this episode, but I might like the last episode even more. I just really like the character stuff there. But yeah, this episode, I mean, my God, between the that freaking like treasure trove of meme material we have in the opening few minutes to the just the head trip of the third act reveal. I mean, this episode does really fire on all cylinders. Definitely one of the top Bruce Wayne episodes of Batman Beyond that we've gotten to so far. So season 3, first few episodes started out a little bit slow. You know, nothing terrible, but a little bit slow. But then, man, these last 2 episodes, man, they've really been hitting them out the gate. Like, honestly, probably some of the best stuff in the whole series so far, I think.
Yeah, let's just say the back half of I don't even know if it's in the back half because we're still getting there, and like this is like episode 5 of the 3rd season, so I don't know if back half necessarily. This is kind of a transition point. This is kind of a turning point, but let's just say things are going to get really good. There's one episode that's going to be not so good.
I'll probably end up liking it anyways.
I don't know. This one, I don't know. We'll see.
Okay.
Anywho, but this is a biggie. This is like a very lauded episode of Batman Beyond. This is like a top fiver. This is a big one. All right, so the team. There's a little background on this. The director was James Tucker. Don't sound so excited.
I was just the only thing I could think to do is make a joke about like Tucker. You gotta dig that hole, Tucker.
Yes. Well, speaking of holes, he did Ace in the Hole. He directed that episode.
There we go.
Egg Baby, and the episode you really liked, Big Time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the writer on this. It's alcoholism. No, it's the writer on this is Paul Dini.
That was ice for my coffee, sir.
I would hope so.
Oh yeah, this is a Dini joint for sure, and it is probably one of the top tier ones in the Batman Beyond mythos.
Yes, of course, the incomparable Paul Dini. Now, with Batman Beyond, Paul Dini did not write as many episodes as you might think. Like, he was there creating...
No, I know he didn't, yeah.
Like, in the writer's room, like, he oversaw the season. He was one of the guys that developed the show, you know, Murakami and Bruce Timm and company and Burnett and everyone. But, so he always had kind of a hand in everything, especially, Howard Groot essentially is Paul Dini, so, he's in there. I always like to call Howard Groot. I don't know how many people agree with me on this. I like to think Howard Groot is the love child of Paul Dini and Glenn Murakami. That's what I like to think. Anyway, but yeah, so Paul Dini, just some examples of some top tier stuff that he's been involved with. Rebirth, the pilot episode of Batman Beyond, also lauded. Mask of the Phantasm, no question. And the other big Batman Beyond thing he did up to this point, Return of the Joker, wrote the movie.
Oh yeah.
Pretty big.
Which this does have like a little bit of like, it almost feels like an unofficial follow-up to that as far as like, hey, let's check in with another Golden Age villain and also have like another shocking twist at the end.
Oh yeah. We'll get into that with the Dini of it also. Studio worked on this. Tiki.
Oh my God.
Tiki. Okay, I want you to brace yourself. Okay, studio that worked on this was none other than Coco with the voice of Dong Yang.
Ooh, with a voice now, we're switching it up.
Looks like Coco, not entirely Coco. Little bit of Dong Yang in the DNA. Made possible by computer engineering. Anyway, so basically, the way we get this one is again since the pilot in the movie, this is the first kind of Paul Dini episode we've gotten since then, since the movie really, and for him with Batman Beyond. Back when they were basically really just discussing the show versus a series Bible, because as we discussed with Batman Beyond, they didn't really have time to craft a series Bible. They got a green light right from the get go. It's like, okay, just go. We just season one's just we're gonna figure it all out, just like make post-it notes or what have you, and just run with it. In doing so, they had the grounding principle of let's rule out let's not. They said the rule about using the Batman Rogues Gallery, which was like let's try not to do that, and the only times we're ever going to do that, it's going to be very rare occasions and only occasions that would make sense. We don't want to just cash in on like Penguin as a robot or Riddler as a computer program or what have you.
Mm-hmm.
And they did mostly the archetypal route, like we have villains that are kind of indicative, like Ink, kind of a Clayface esque type, or or a Spellbinder, kind of a Scarecrow type, things of that regard. Now the exceptions to this rule, because now we've officially gotten them all, Tiki. Okay, we had the Joker, big one, obvious, got a movie out of him. Mr. Freeze, doesn't age because he's frozen. Bane, we kind of used as a misdirect, and he was an old man. We only did the old man villain once.
Uh-huh.
And that brings, lastly, I think the most logical one from the get go. I mean, second to Mr. Freeze and the Joker. I mean, it was Ra's al Ghul because, well, immortal. Of course, he'd be around.
I mean, even like Mr. Freeze and the Joker might make more sense as far as like, Mr. Freeze is kind of on that wavelength. The Joker makes sense as far as being a popular character, but Ra's al Ghul, I'd say, is probably the most logical one to bring back for something like this.
Now they held out on introducing him. It really feels like they waited to use him until they really needed him. And let's just say season 3, as you kind of determined from the rocky start, season 3 needed the big guns, and we do pull out some big guns this season.
Mm-hmm.
Not a lot, but when we do, we bring him in. This is one of those times, So I guess just to speak about it a little bit before we really break it down, in real life. The opening of the episode, in real life, there was actually a Batman musical in development. And eventually, there actually was like a Batman Live show they did, and that was not a musical. But this is what I'm saying. They were kind of like there was talk around the time of this episode, like a little bit kind of late '90s, of like, hey, we're gonna do a Batman musical. And it was called I think it was called like Holy Musical or Batman Holy Musical. It was something like that. It had
Holy Musical Batman or something like that.
I think that's it. Holy Musical Batman. And
yeah.
They got word of this, and that Dini found it hilarious.
That legitimately sounds like the title of a Team Star Kid production, not a real musical.
Right. Anyway, so basically they had the episode kind of figured out, and then they figured, okay, well, it's Bruce Wayne's birthday, and let's kind of like work something in there, perhaps of like it just kind of fell into place where they've been kind of sitting on this musical idea since probably the start of Batman Beyond. It's like, oh, we kind of have a place to work it in, and Dini loves to get a little comedy, and on one hand, hilarious comedy from Dini, on the other hand, twisted psychological trauma in terms of what he can do with an episode. Anyway, more on that later. I'm going to do a little footnote here in case anyone's waiting for us to bring it up. We will talk about the near apocalypse of 2009. We're not going to talk about it right now.
Ooh,
we're going to wait.
Yeah. That definitely caught my ear for sure.
There's a big thing to talk. There's a huge thing to talk. I've been waiting the whole series to talk about it. We're going to talk about it then. We're going to build there. Anyway,
all right.
Do we have comments?
Did people really respond that badly to the Hurt Locker winning Best Picture over Avatar Dragon? All right, I'm sorry. Okay.
Hammer based that off Princess Mononoke, darn it.
Oh my god.
That was Cameron's remake of that movie.
Right.
He got it completely wrong culturally, but everything else was pretty on
Yeah.
par.
Yeah. All right. Before we jump into the episode proper, let's go over some comments here. We got a few people here. Big episode. Kogia says, I like how in the Batman Beyond streams, Dragon teaches Tiki about Batman. But in the Phineas and Ferb streams, Jacob teaches him about the series. Dragon is both a teacher and a student. Yeah, that's the idea. That's the idea for sure.
See, I wear many hats, but when I'm on a dock, I'm just useless.
All right. Kogia says, I know that Bruce Wayne hates the Batman play with a burning passion, but I unironically love it. It's very catchy and fun. Okay. Yeah, it is definitely one of the more memorable episodes of the series. I will concur with that. All right. We got Lucas Green in the comments. He's saying, I'm sure you guys will address how uncomfortable this is when the twist is revealed. Selling your child is no easy deal unless she chose to do it, or devotion. But I have a feeling Raj said stuff. Yeah, we will definitely get to it. It's a twist. I just love the way that Talia says detective. I'm like, yes. Oh no.
It's oh god, it's such a great moment.
All right.
Little Blue says, that moment.
Could you imagine if Sir Christopher Lee played Ra's al Ghul like in Batman 66 or something?
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, Tiki. Actually, there was that great. I think I've told you about this before. They did a great comic because they did the 66 Batman comic, which I've already told you about, but they also did like two big. They did 3 big 60s crossover events. You had Batman and the Green Hornet, so kind of a sequel to the Green Hornet crossover in comic form. And Kevin Smith wrote, and it was really good.
Nice.
Then there was there's Batman meets Man from U.N.C.L.E., so you had the Man from U.N.C.L.E. crossover. Now the one I really love of that bunch, I love the Green Hornet one, but this one's probably my favorite. Batman 66. It's Batman 66 meets Wonder Woman 77. That's nice. Great. Now the way they do that essentially is it's Batman and Wonder Woman crossing over 3 different points in time, and it's really because again Wonder Woman's she's an Amazon. She's existed since the 40s in that universe. So you have 40s, 40s, 60s, and then 70s, and you're checking with 60s Batman at 3 different points. And the reason I bring this up is that the villain in that story is Ra's al Ghul and Tiki. The Ra's al Ghul essentially is Christopher Lee. They use Christopher Lee's likeness for Ra's al Ghul in that.
Nice.
All right.
Okay. Also, Kogias pops up that Ra's didn't exist in the 60s, but Christopher Lee would have been great.
Yeah. Again, if you want to see that, I'm pretty sure I'm like 90% certain they use Christopher Lee as the basis for Ra's al Ghul in that comic.
Also, Kogias is pointing out there's a 1991 musical film from the Philippines called Alias Batman and Robin. That's the funniest thing ever. Do you know anything about this, Dragon? I might have to look into it.
Well, I mean, I know there's like kind of like knockoffs and stuff. I know it was like a musical, but no.
All right. Okay, so yeah, with that in mind, let's Don Knotts. Little Blue says he read an article about actors who would have been perfect playing Batman villains. Mm-hmm. Don Knotts' Scarecrow would have been perfect, man. I would have loved that. Oh my god.
We almost did get Two-Face. There's an episode written and everything, but the networks deemed Two-Face too scary.
And honestly, I think Dean Martin is really great casting as Two-Face. Like Shatner was also good casting.
Yeah, Shatner was supposed to do it though.
I know.
Yeah.
But yeah, Don Knotts is the Scarecrow. That's just yes, I love that.
You know, it's silly. Actually, that might
try a taste of my fear toxin, Batman.
It's like obviously Batman probably wouldn't play it like this, but the way you kind of play it like the least scary guy ends up being the guy who enjoys terrifying people.
Right. Yeah.
You know.
Oh I think Batman might just Don Knotts doing like a 1-hour photo style performance.
Well, kind of. That's like in a best case scenario, that's what they would do. But it feels like at the time it might be more of like a Don not saying boo.
Well, yeah, at the time, yes. I'm just saying hypothetically. Can you imagine? Not. Did I scare you, Batman? All right. Anyways. Oh, I love Don Knotts so much.
We all do. Why do I have to go in there? I don't want to go in the White House alone. It's dark in there.
Okay, Dragon, you know the movie I told you about, Hundreds of Beavers?
This is hundreds of Don Knotts.
No, I was going to say the sequel to Hundreds of Beavers should be Too Many Ostriches. Honestly, when I was watching that movie, that joke was low key running through my head quite a bit.
I thought of a terrible Don Knotts parody movie. I can't share it here right off the top. I have to tell you off air.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right. Okay, so yeah, let's just go into it. So this episode starts in glorious fashion with the frickin' musical, which is just amazing.
It's great that in the first lines of the episode we hear essentially a version of I am vengeance, I am the night, I am, and then just misdirect right there, So as you can probably guess, Tiki, that is Kevin Conroy singing.
Is it? Okay. I wasn't sure, honestly.
Yeah, Conroy has sung twice as Batman, essentially, in the DCAU. He sung in the Justice League episode. This is the first time, though. This is the first time they had him sing, and then they had him sing chronologically in terms of like when they're making the show. So they had him sing here, and then Justice League Unlimited with this little piggy. Mm-hmm. I love that the actor looks vaguely like Kevin Conroy. Now, mind you, it doesn't look like, if you look at the parking valet in the Heart of Ice episode, that literally is what Kevin Conroy looks like in animated form. This is not quite that, but it feels like, I don't know, it feels like if he padded up.
No, it does. I can see it. I can see it in the face. Yeah.
That's the face. Like a hair, like a little. It's hard to tell with the mask. Like a little bit of Conroy kind of caricature in there, which is kind of cute. Anyway, so again, Again, Paul Dini just having a lot of fun here. Wrote all the lyrics and everything, and the music. We have all sorts of. Tell about the rogues gallery that we have on stage.
Well, I mean, we have like Joker, Penguin, and Two-Face. The classic trio. But they're all like, they've all just got these. Like, for example, Penguin Dragon. He's got a smile that I could only describe as like a blue meanie smile.
Yeah. So very
he's got kind of like the more of kind of like a vaudevillian sort of look almost. Two-Face kind of the same way.
Yeah.
We also have a female Robin, which is an interesting choice.
A little to nod to Peter Pan.
Oh yeah. Right.
That's the whole thing. We're for the young male characters we cast females. Anyway, so we also have Catwoman, Harley Quinn just wearing the wrong color and everything, and we have which oddly is kind of repeating itself in the new Batman show we have in development.
I like how Catwoman's costume looks more naturally like a cat than the actual Catwoman.
Well, that's a nod to cats, obviously.
Right, yeah.
Also, speaking of which, the female backup singer, basically the female side of the chorus, Adrienne Barbeau. So that's the actual Catwoman singing as Catwoman here.
Nice.
Anyway, but yeah, this is great. We have two songs that Dini wrote here. We have just basically the initial Batman, the initial Batman song. Then we reveal, okay, what the heck is going on here? Terry. It's Bruce Wayne's birthday, and Terry, he saved up a pretty hefty chunk of change, and he got agonized over getting tickets to take Bruce to something special for presumably his 80th birthday. It's a big birthday. It's a milestone, presumably the 80th that they've been hyping up. They never officially said, but it's his 80th.
Can I just say, Terry geeking out about this play might be the most Raw Unstoppable thing that I have ever seen him do in this series.
I concur with that. It's the fact that he actually
moment a little later on when he comes in like singing the song to himself.
And I love that to some degree Bruce has kind of brought this on himself because he doesn't like talking about the old days with Terry. So this is like the main way Terry's kind of finding out about it.
Don't you?
You hate me, don't you? Oh, come on. This is Shui. It's Schwarbage.
I love that. I love Schwarbage. That's awesome.
Tiki, everyone loves the Schwarbage line. Like Shui was like the big phrase from Beyonce, him just saying Schwarbage. It's very funny. Anyway, but yeah, the fact that Terry's non-ironically enjoying this, much like Code Geass, that he's actually kind of like
it does.
Yeah,
I think ironically enjoying it.
Yeah, that's the thing. I enjoy it. I don't know. General audience feels about it, but I enjoy it.
I don't know about the unironic part. I certainly enjoy it on a more ironic level than anything else. But you know me, Dragon. I am a connoisseur of musical theater from time to time, so I appreciate
So
this.
again, we have like, a lot of production design gags. Like again, we already mentioned with the costumes and everything with the
I
robes.
love that the bat symbol is basically just like a cheesy like Vegas neon sign, essentially.
Yep. Okay, that leads to my favorite. My favorite part. I read this scene on two levels. Okay, so we have commission. We have, and you
Yes,
know
I
this.
was gonna say, Dragon. I was so happy for you that we technically got a Gordon cameo in this show.
It's just the
This
fact
is
that
this
again
is about
throughout.
the most long-winded way to get to a James Gordon cameo, but you know what? There the man is. You know what my favorite element of this Gordon is, Dragon?
Is it the fur coat?
No, it's the fact that he randomly walks with a cane.
Yep. Yep.
It's such a random detail, but I love
Yep.
it.
By the way, it's so funny in comics history. Gordon's only had like a cane one time.
Right, exactly,
Like
yeah.
it's only because he was shot too. It wasn't because
He
he was
looks like
always.
he looks like a dapper gentleman, Dragon.
Well, that's the thing. Like
He
Gordon
looks
was.
like someone out of like the Jack the Ripper times.
Well, be careful about that because we know what happened to Jack the Ripper
Oh
time.
shit! I didn't even honestly. I didn't even mean that intentionally, honestly. But yeah, you're right.
But regardless, so yeah, like Gordon only had like a cane one time in comics when he got shot. It's like the only time he had one. It's very brief, but it's funny. You're right. We never see him with a cane. Anyway, but yeah, so I love this because of course historically in Batman, I love the Batman Commissioner Gordon scenes, especially in the animated series. So of all the scenes we're going to be able to get away with here, it just sounds like it is a scene you would have to put in the musical. It's because he did have an established friendship with this guy, and he's always the exposition. If you're gonna have a musical exposition scene, it has to be a rooftop scene.
Uh-huh.
So Batman and Gordon having a scene here, and it's like it's also really another level too. I like that it kind of celebrates like the friendship of Batman and Commissioner Gordon, which is really nice too. It's so silly, like they're singing together, and
Totally.
plus we found a way to finally were never able to really until one thing we're gonna get to, but not for a while. They were able to work in for the first time superstitious cowardly lot, the iconic Batman vow line,
Mhm.
from the creations. That was always like the line that's a great line, but it's always really you can't really work in it unless it's like Batman Brave and the Bold, where you can get away with the Silver Agey kind of stuff. But a superstitious cowardly lot. They plan and plot, but they always get caught. Their evil schemes will come
The
to naught.
animation on this song just goes total ham, man. It looks nothing like the actual style of Batman Beyond, but in a really fun kind of way.
Yeah, it's very refreshing.
You know what it
Also,
kind of reminds me of, Dragon? It kind of reminds me of, and I don't say this like it is a derogatory thing. I think it's really funny that it reminds me of this. It reminds me of one of those like Good Times style ripoffs of Disney movies. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Those like generic direct to video ripoffs of Disney movies. It's
Yeah,
got that kind of style to it.
it's also kind of funny. They actually later in Justice League they had this gag. It's the Night of Shadows episode, the big Etrigan episode from the first season of Justice League. They had this party scene where everyone it's like a parody of Hugh Hefner's house. I think I showed you this episode. I think we I don't know if did the recap on the episode because Batman really didn't feature a lot into it. I think I showed it to you for research purposes. I'm pretty sure.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, the point being, you had all these extras like dressed in costume because the Flash is like, "Hey, I'm the Flash." Yeah, so are they. They point to like all these cosplayers on the side, and all the cosplayers, for like Batman, Catwoman, and everything, pulled from this episode. They reused the model, so it's this
Oh no,
Batman,
really? Oh
just like
god.
just with the cape done in blue. It's the same costume, so they reused the model. Anyway, so here's the second way I read this scene. I love it. Is that this is the moment where Bruce Wayne he's just so disgusted with it he has to leave. He just can't. But my heart of hearts, my head canon is that this is making a mockery of his friendship with Commissioner Gordon. That's where he leaves.
Yeah, for sure. That's kind of how I read it too.
Because it's like a friend that he's lost, and he had that he was like his ode his ode de camp, his ally in that war on crime, and it's just they're making a mockery of. We never sang like that. We got coffee at New Year's. We never sang like that. Anyways, it's him like leaving. I just love how ticked off Bruce is like, "Excuse me, pardon me." Like it's like move. just yelling "move" just to get his. He's had it. He tried being cordial, but he just couldn't stand it anymore.
Right,
All right,
right.
let's see. So I love. We go from such a comedic. This is the magic of Dini. We go from such a comedic scene, twinge of pathos at the end there. Bruce Wayne feeling his age. We've established it's his birthday, and then sad scene in the Batcave. So we had the photos in the Batcave. Him kind of like again. It's a nice character beat for Bruce, where he's feeling very alone. I'm sure, maybe reflecting on the old times. It's definitely it's gotten him feeling nostalgic. It may be in kind of a dour way, and he's going through like pictures of a lot of ways that potentially could have changed things for him. That potentially could have been Andrea Beaumont's in their own regard for him, had he not thrown away his happiness.
Uh,
He's kind of like flashing back here. So he's like Zatanna, Lois Lane, Catwoman, then Barbara Gordon, which
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Here's a
Well,
fun.
at this point, I'm just kind of like, all right, whatever.
All right. Anyway, fun fact though, a lot of people have kind of questioned why isn't Wonder Woman in this montage. Reason being, again, this is before Justice League. They did not think Wonder Woman wasn't introduced yet. That's the reason she's not in. If it were after Justice League, like it chronologically is, she would have made the cut. Maybe a little less
That's totally
Barbara.
fair. Yeah.
Maybe Barbara wouldn't have gotten 2 pictures. You know. Why no Andrea Beaumont? Well, she killed people. That's why Andrea Beaumont didn't make the cut. But anyway,
Pretty cut and dry.
because that one's too painful.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Talia enters. Talia Al Ghul has returned, voiced by Olivia Hussey.
Mm,
Yeah, a Norma Bates.
indeed.
Not our Norma Bates, but a Norma Bates. All right, so she's wishing her beloved a happy birthday, and some nice dialogue. Cementing the connection there. The whole I'm surprised you didn't save a picture of me.
I did really like how she brought him the meal that they shared together.
I think it's like roast pheasant with like risotto.
It's super fancy, yeah, with
Yeah,
like
yeah.
truffle risotto.
Truffle risotto. There you go.
Yeah, yeah.
A certain chef might approve of that. Yeah. Anyway, let's see. So, but these are the intimate bits I live for, man. I just love the bit that Bruce he said he appreciates the gesture, but he can't because of his age. His age is getting him down. He can't share a meal with this beautiful woman because he can't eat that stuff.
Right, exactly.
Anyway, so again, Bruce kind of throwing it at her like, well, Lazarus Pit sure agrees with you.
And then in enters, I would say probably like a great like textbook definition of the arrogance of you.
No, think about this. It's a great transition because like she's offering him she offers him the Lazarus Pit. It's a big moment. Bruce is like, oh my god, she has to offer me the Lazarus Pit. Enter a superstitious cowardly lot.
Oh my
They
god.
scheme. Anyway, it's just
That honestly might be one of the great like Will Friedle comedy beats right there.
that is the most Ron Stoppel he's gotten in the show. Just entering and just like killing the mood. Oh, it's great. Anyway, so nice bit here for Terry. Terry, he does his homework. He's been doing his homework on the back computer instead of playing vid games, as he claims. We learned that she's kept tabs on the new Batman. She knows that Terry is the new Batman, and he's looked into her father and everything. So, oh yeah, your old man was Ra's al Ghul. The last basically you helped Batman fight Ra's al Ghul last time in the near apocalypse of 09. Okay, before we get into the rest of the whole Raz thing, I got to talk about the near apocalypse of 09.
All right.
Okay, so this has always been like the hugely speculated, I guess more by diehards. I don't know how like the general consensus. Like it's kind of like basically near apocalypse of 09 only gets mentioned like twice ever in Batman Beyond. Like in the DCA, it gets mentioned like 2 lines. It's this line and one other time we'll get to. But it's. Basically, it's like to me, it's the one story right now. They're doing that Batman the Adventures Continue comic, and I would beg if I ever met Paul Dini, I would beg him like, please, Paul, you have to in the comic, you have to do this story. This is always like this was like the one story they never told
Right,
in the
right, right.
DCAU. The
Totally,
Near Apocalypse of
totally.
'09 was like the big Batman, the last big Batman story. Every time they kept revisiting things like Batman Harley Quinn or Justice League and the Fatal Five, I keep screaming internally, like, come on, Near Apocalypse of '09. That's the only time we need. And sadly, now that Conroy's gone, we can never do it because it's never going to be the same. So
All
now
right.
the only time we can.
Dragon, I'm going to go ahead and make a Five Nights at Freddy's reference. I know you're not going to get it, but somebody's who's watching is probably going to get it. This sounds like it's basically the equivalent to Night at Freddy's Bite of 87. It's the Bite of 87.
I mean, pretty much. Yes, you could. That's essentially what it turned into. Was just an offhanded line to be like, "This is huge event that we're never really going to show," but it did lead people to speculate. And it's here's the nuggets that we do know about it. Okay, it's just based on what's mentioned in the episode. Okay, it's Ra's al Ghul and Batman's last battle, essentially in the DCAU before this episode.
Uh-huh.
Talia side with Batman. It ends up with Ra's al Ghul's body broken beyond repair. It was long speculated that they might have done the thing that I've told you and you've agreed with, and I think everyone and their mother has always it's a could have had a V8 moment kind of thing where Ra's al Ghul potentially could have teamed up with Poison Ivy, which is a no-brainer of an idea that we still, to this day, have never done.
Yeah, that's wild.
Which is just crazy to me. Like, that's the team up that needs to happen, and this is the story that Paul Dini has said. The only thing he's ever said remotely close to this thing is that, oh yeah, I always wanted to team up Ra's al Ghul and Poison Ivy, but the new Batman Adventures kind of got canned, and we transitioned to Batman Beyond before I could do that story. Had they done a third season, which makes me want even more. Like, if they're doing this Adventures Continue comic, this is the way they could do it. Come on, Paul. Tell us what happened. Like, I've speculated, like maybe this is the thing where Gordon retires after what happens in the Near Apocalypse of '09, or he gets killed off, or this might be the story in which we kill off Alfred for all we know. Like, I think that would be the big story.
Right. Yeah.
Like, there's so many possibilities. Like, it's a huge event. Anyways, I'm just saying that was always like the long speculated thing, and that line just drove everyone crazy who were like obsessed with the DCAU, just like Near Apocalypse of '09. Everyone kept thinking like the finale of Justice League took place in 2009, which is not the case. That is not it. So anyway,
right.
That's my fanboy rant on the Near Apocalypse of '09. Anyway, so he says like he's been keeping tabs on. Oh yeah, you want to basically Talia aside with Batman helped defeat her father one last time. And you've been cleaning up this mess for decades with all your philanthropic work, and you live in New Cuba. It says, "Oh, you've been doing your homework." One thing you got wrong though, it's Raish, not Raz. Now, fun fact there. Everyone and their mother there's always the famous debate between how do you pronounce Ra's al Ghul. There's Raish, Raz, and Raz. It's not really Raz, but that was their way of saying Raz.
I was going to say I've never really heard anyone really say Raz.
It's really just Raz.
That's kind of like objectively not the way you do it.
That's more of like just to emphasize the point. Have Terry in there. That's the main reason.
Right. Yeah.
Raz. But the point being Raz versus Raish. It's funny. Denny O'Neil has confirmed it's Raish, and Paul Dini is subscribed to Denny O'Neil's pronunciation of Raish. I would like to assume Julie Schwartz, the guy who basically came up with the idea for Ra's al Ghul, probably said Raish. Neil Adams, however, I love him to pieces, but Neil Adams just sticking the knife in me again with his writing. He says it's Roz, which of course we do in the Nolan films and everything. Like, everyone's always like, there's always the debate of like what's the proper pronunciation, like going to the derivation of Raisha, the Arabic for it. I side with Denny O'Neil. I side with the animated series. I say it's Raish. That's where I come down on, in case anyone has that debate going on.
All right. Kogia says Talia looks extra beautiful this episode, which makes the twist even more unsettling.
Which is actually intentional. That's actually intentional for the third act too. If you notice, like, she does a lot of girly moves despite knowing what. Seriously, I don't know if you're pulling up the visuals while we're doing this or not, but if you are, if you look during that
I will
scene,
take
like
note of that when we get to the
she's
third
like
match.
she's like flipping her hair, and she's like, she's walking with like sway in her hips,
I
like
mean, the
she's
way I read it is that it's not all the way Raj or Talia. It's kind of like a weird, perverse, like fusion of the two of them.
yeah, we'll get there. But to be fair, I mean, I've always had I love Talia Al Ghul. To me, Talia Al Ghul, I really want. Part of me really wants Batman to end up with Talia Al Ghul. I've always
Nolan
wanted
fucking
that.
butchered her. I'm just gonna say it. He
All right,
butchered her.
can we focus on the positive here?
I'm just saying. I'm
I'm just
just
saying
saying.
the animated series, which we're talking
All
about in
right, all
conjunction with, as my favorite Talia, and we did great with her.
Fair
Okay.
enough. Fair enough.
Anyway, but speaking of which, we have some nice nods to a lot of the animated series stuff with Talia in this episode, appropriately, before we then turn to a horror show. Anyway, so she bids Bruce Wayne farewell, saying he's just there to visit an old friend. She says she'll be at the Gotham Plaza until tomorrow, and then we smash cut to
This is a perfect edit right here, man. That's a perfect edit.
So Terry asks, "What was that all about?" Smash cut to
Eternal Youth.
It's like Terry, like, "Hey, not so loud."
Max again. I feel like Max is being used really smartly this season. She only has one scene, but it's a memorable one.
Yep, and also again, Dini is writing never wavers, my friend. Just Dini, like, knowing we don't want like a whole exposition scene of just literally the same scene we just saw with like him explaining it to Terry on the slideshow.
Yeah.
All right, Terry, let me pull. You're lucky I took slides. All right, sit down. Like, take off the tie. Sit down. I'll put on the slideshow.
God.
Anyway, yeah, so Max is like, basically she gets the lowdown on Ra's al Ghul. Terry's looked into it. It checks out, with how Talia's been around and everything. He says, you think the old man's, she asked, do you think the old man's gonna do it? Terry says doubtful, but he did notice that he did waver. Mm-hmm. And he can see that he wishes he was still in the suit. Yeah.
And then Max says, like, well, I'll take his place. And Terry's like, don't bother. He's Bruce says that it's basically too complicated to deal with. You wouldn't want any part of it, essentially.
Yeah. So you're gonna have like Cree Summers like laughing maniacally and dangling people over pits and trying to throw them in. It's gonna be a whole thing.
Oh my god, wouldn't that be wonderful though?
I mean, it would.
Dude, I still maintain that I think Miranda from As Told by Ginger might be Cree Summers' greatest vocal performance. And
I don't think you've told me that.
I think it might be for me. And that is like her in sheer villain mode.
Oh no, sure. I mean, yeah.
I
don't think she's really good as Miranda. I don't know. There's a lot of great Cree Summers out there. I mean, a lot of people would cite maybe number 5 from Kids Next Door, which I don't know.
I feel like Miranda. I just say as far as like it's a very multi-layered character.
I'll give you that. I will go as far as to say this.
Clearly, the villain. She is still like everyone else in that show, pretty complex as a person.
I'll give you this. That's kind of her Azula role. To put it in terms of
right. That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
Azula, for my money, might be Grey DeLisle's best performance. That's probably that's anyway. So. Okay, so moving on from there, we have a great scene. Bruce Wayne, he's driving. They're probably wondering, why is Bruce Wayne driving? I'm going to tell you why. I think he's craving the nostalgia right now. Again, he's been feeling his age, and that scene, I think the scene with Talia kind of threw him a little bit. He kind of wants to be in control of his own destiny. He kind of wants to, he doesn't want Terry to drive him around. He wants to do it himself. He's using one of the many cars at Wayne Manor. And
I just love how like realistically agitated he is in the animation.
Yes, it's again, we're capturing his age so perfectly here. Where I've seen it firsthand. It's the old man grumble, just like the tire blows out. The tire blows out, and he pulls over, hits like the beacon, and I love that he's struggling to change the tire. So we're doing through the mundanity. We're showing a great story point that as much as physically able as Bruce Wayne is and able to kick as much butt as he can, there is a limit. There are walls and there are limitations to what he can do. And this is it, like lifting like a heavy tire. It's something he can probably do, but it is going to wind him and potentially be dangerous for his weak heart. Potentially, Anyway, so let's see. So again, at 80, he really handles himself against these 3 street punks that accost him and try to mug him. And Bruce Wayne, we know one thing he hates in this life. He hates muggers.
Oh yeah. Oh
He
yeah.
hates muggers, especially the ones in alleys. Now they weren't in an alley, thank goodness, or he might have killed them. But but no. Only Zack Snyder's Batman would kill him. But no, he wouldn't kill him. Anyway, but yeah, so age 80, he he's holding his own there, but then they seemingly take a hostage and toss her in the traffic. And I love this. Bruce Wayne, his instincts run out to save her. Tosses the king because there's no time to hobble. But unfortunately, I love the timing on this. He stumbles, he falls. They're in front of a car. They're goners, and that beacon saved Bruce's bacon as Batman swoops in and saves him at the last second.
Uh-huh.
But tell me, there's so many great Conroy contenders, it's really hard to pick one. But man, this moment really hit me on the rewatch. Just this scene of like the hit to Bruce Wayne's pride that believably will get him to the point that he's going to be in the next scene. Just like Bruce Wayne saying to Batman who's checking on him, like, even a few years ago, I could have gotten us both to safety.
Yeah, sorry.
Like, tell me that doesn't break your heart.
Totally.
Yeah. All right, so Bruce Wayne, he visits Talia. He admits that he's not fully. Basically, admits that he felt helpless. He confides in her again because he does love Talia. He has historically loved Talia, so he's. I think he's genuinely letting his guard down here, admitting that he was that he realizes that girl himself would have been killed. So maybe there is like some value in like kind of like de-aging himself a little here.
Sure.
And she makes a great point here. It reminds me a little of my favorite part of that Dark Knight Rises trailer. It's the whole like, you've given the city everything. Not everything. Not yet. I'm not kidding. Hands down, the best Batman trailer moment I've ever seen.
I feel that. Honestly, the Dark Knight Rise, if you want to talk about Dark Knight Rises trailers, like the teaser where Gordon is in the hospital and he's like, he has to come back. And Dragon, that is one of the main. I know I've made this point before, but that is how much the yada over Gordon being in the hospital in that movie is one of that was when I knew in the theater. I was like, oh, this is not the movie I thought it would be.
All right. Anywho, right. But Talia here makes a good point that you've devoted yourself to this city for years. It's taken your youth, your strength, and nearly your life. If anyone's earned a second chance, it's you. And again, just the genuineness of like, I was never looking for a reward. It's just like, it's the fact that in Batman's DNA, he can't profit or gain something, or it's like one eye in the DNA of the character. If Batman's happy, it's kind of the death of the character. I think I'm trying to remember if it was Jeff Loeb might have said that. I think Jeff Loeb said that once, that if Batman's happy, that's the end of Batman.
I mean, yeah, I can't disagree with that. That's a pretty accurate assessment right there.
So just the fact that if he seeks a reward, then that's gonna be it's anathema to the character. It's like it's something that's just not him, and that's what he. So the struggle is real there, and I love any writer is going to really be able to feel this and kind of demonstrate this. It's going to be Dini. So she offers basically now. Interestingly, she's making the offer that Rafe has kind of made him for years. Let's join forces. Through our philanthropic natures here, we can through the go national with it versus just Gotham like you've been doing. And he's kind of at a point where he's taking him up on it, and again at a point where he would be as old as he would be, kind of comparatively to Ra's al Ghul, which I find very interesting. He's kind of in his advanced age, he's kind of seeing things the way Ra's does, somewhat.
A little bit, sure.
I'm just saying, I kind of like the parallels that Dini's maybe drawn there in the subtext. So we're on a plane. Talia, she's we have her her number 2 man, Carter.
Carter is a fucking trip in his own right, dude.
I have a question for you, Tiki.
Okay.
Did you recognize the voice of Carter?
I did not, but I mean, he switches up his voice, so it's kind of trippy. But who is he?
Carter is Mark Hamill.
Oh my god, are you fucking serious? Oh my god, that's wonderful.
You want to hear the best part? It's not just Mark Hamill.
Yeah.
It is Mark Hamill doing an impression of somebody from his life.
Oh man.
He is doing an impression, and the character's kind of modeled, I assume intentionally, it's kind of modeled after, and basically the voice that he's doing, he's kind of impersonating, is David Prowse, the body of Darth Vader.
Oh wow.
So that's kind of like it's a deep cut Star Wars
That is
reference.
as deep of a cut as you can possibly get.
His scene buddy, during Empire. That's
Right, right,
his
yeah,
scene
yeah.
buddy. He's doing an impression of David Prowse
That's
as kind
crazy.
of this English tough guy character. Anyway, so point being, I just wanted to shout. I always thought that was awesome with the thing with Carter. Anyway, so Bruce is having second thoughts. Talia brings up like, oh, it's because you saw the effects of the pit on my father. I assure you, the process is much safer now. But no, it's Bruce Wayne. It's the ethical dilemma. Like, I wonder if I have the right to do this at all.
Uh-huh.
And then Talia can see it written all over Terry's face. So you're worried if Bruce is young again, he'll become Batman again. So, and what's Terry's line, Tiki?
I tell you one thing right now, I'm not putting on that Robin suit.
I'm not wearing the Robin suit. There's no way I'm wearing the Robin suit. Yep. But yeah, so then she's like, no, his late nights are over. I'll be keeping him close by. And again, it's the question of Batman.
That is a line in context when you think about the Raish being Talia thing. It's like, ooh, that is not good, man. I need an adult in that situation.
Well, true, but also it's the other thing too of like, he'll be close by because I'll be stealing his body.
Oh, that's true too. Yeah,
That's the other
yeah.
way you can read it. I mean, you can read it both ways. With the other, I mean, if it took had he been lulled into the false sense of security, that might have gone on for a while. So you're not entirely off base,
Uh-huh.
and you got to wonder how far Raish might go.
Kogias says it would be funny if Bruce stayed de-aged, disowned Terry, and went back to being Batman. Honestly, wouldn't that be a trip as like the final story arc for the series?
Well, I mean, you got to wonder though if now. I think today, if they were to do Batman Beyond today, and you had story
They
arcs
might
and
actually
the
do something like that, given the
part
serialized nature.
part of wonders if we did things more serialized, like we can get away with now for something like the My Adventures with Superman. You kind of have to wonder, would there be an arc for a while where
I think there might be, Dragon. I really do.
Yeah, where you might actually, again, historically in the comics, we did once, Batman being addicted to Venom. Now, I'm not saying this is necessarily the same thing, but in that respect, you could have it be Bruce Wayne might be addicted to being able to relive his glory days, and when that runs out, then he's going to have a dilemma. He's going to have to sort through,
Uh-huh.
kind of with basically kind of an existential withdrawal of sorts.
Right, right.
All right, let's see. So we're in Cuba, or to put in kind of to quote Miguel from El Dorado, Cuba. We're in Cuba. We see like this awesome temple mansion kind of compound area, which is basically housing one. Again, we set up way back during Batman the Animated Series. There are Lazarus pits all across the globe. So we've unearthed the Lazarus pit, and we have this cool. I want to talk about the cool portraiture of all the Raishas all around the place. This is such a cool idea about this. The fact that Ra's al Ghul, he's lived for so many years. He's had all over there. These are like different paintings that he's had commissioned over the years, like all hung in this place, which is just awesome and hilarious because it's Ra's al Ghul.
Yeah, I picked up on that.
I just love that. There's always like an unintentional ego with Raish where it's like he just has to have his picture hanging on the walls, like all the different eras. Anyway, so Terry, he's kind of looking over the place, and he's admiring this cool portrait of Raish. That basically is kind of the image you see before us here. He's admiring this cool portrait of Raish by the fireplace, and he's still getting the name wrong. Just taking an old Raz here, and it's the fact that Terry's still getting the name wrong is irritating Talia. And we know why it's irritating Talia.
Right.
This is the fact that Terry's kind of pushing some buttons here in a really fun way, where he's just like, leader, environmentalist.
God damn it, I've had to deal with a whole decade worth of nerds like you who mispronounce my name because of that fucking Nolan movie.
God.
I will never forgive Christopher for that.
Anyway, so then like Terry's thrown in like a leader and environmentalist, sociopath. I was going to say father. Now, what I like about that line though on a rewatch. that is Raish getting a little defensive if you think about it. That's him kind of like,
Yeah,
if
definitely.
you think he's done something horrible here, I think there's some residual guilt over it. Maybe like he won't admit it, but I think there's a little bit of guilt. That's why he wants to be remembered as father. He wants to remember like collectively the good things he's done as a father.
Uh-huh.
All right. So anyway, we kind of hold on this shot of like Terry looking a little unsure. Well, I'm sorry, I'm jumping ahead. The point being, we have that scene. Then we have the big the modernized Lazarus Pit, which is a really cool idea for Batman Beyond. The fact that
It is cool. It is a cool idea for sure.
like we used to see literally.
It still is technically a Lazarus Pit, but there's so much technology involved with it.
But also just like the fact that the stonemasonry and everything, it's actually a nice looking pit where in Batman the Animated Series is like a giant like cave, like kind of like chasm.
Right. Yeah.
You lower a guy on like kind of like a Frankenstein table into the pit. Where here it's actually you walk into like a little pod and it lowers you and it drains everything out and it's almost like a little pool.
Uh-huh.
It's like a well. All right, so he's immersed in the water, and then he comes out, and we see Bruce Wayne. I'd imagine aged to probably early 50s, very late 40s. It's kind of what he's looking like age wise when he comes out of there, and he's crazy. And this is a huge moment. Batman being put
It's
in the
basically
Lazarus
like a much more subtle version of like the Snyder Superman resurrection.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. But that's the thing too. I think Tiki, I'm going to wager to say this might have been the first time ever we actually put Batman in the Lazarus Pit, which we then occasionally did for very select kind of. I don't know if Elseworld stories is the right term, but like kind of like rarely ever did we ever use the Lazarus Pit to bring Batman back this dramatically. So this is like the only we ever put him in a pit. So the first time we've ever really done that.
Uh-huh.
This is kind of a big moment for the character because Batman would always say no to the Lazarus Pit. So him actually doing this, it's kind of a big moment. So he comes out of there and he's a little crazed, which of course famously Demon's Quest, one of my favorite episodes. Raish, he goes crazy and the best ending to a two-parter ever. He's like holding Talia over his head and Batman's ticked off. He's like, I said put her down. Seriously, I think the most intimidating Kevin Conroy delivery ever in the DCAU, the way he says that line and the episode ends.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, so he's about to like punch Terry like into next week, and then thankfully Talia sprays him with some bat knockout gas essentially. And he wakes up next morning. He's feeling a lot better and younger.
Uh-huh.
So she left in some gray, like Raish.
Or I'm sorry, Dragon. To quote that one narrator from the Your Movie Sucks review of Kimba the White Lion, which I know, yes, is a very deep cut. Suspicious.
Yep. Oh, but Natalia,
I hope at least one person appreciated that reference.
Now, I want your read on this, Tiki. So,
Okay.
it kind of reads initial in the first watch. It reads as kind of like a romantic kind of thing of like it's like she's saying, "Well, thank you for this miracle, Talia. Thank you for restoring my youth, Talia."
Right. No, but instead, I do read it as like he's a little bit like, well, gee, now I'm like very morally conflicted. Thanks for that.
Well, no, well, maybe, but I looked at it as like he's distracting the detective from putting the pieces together with like romance. That's what I think he's kind of doing in that moment.
Oh, okay.
I think it's like, okay, I'm going to guilt him with the romance so he doesn't like think, oh, this looks a lot like Raish. Why would she have the gray in my hair?
That's true. Yeah, for sure.
But then we have a really nice, again, creepy when you now put it in context, but a really nice callback to Demon's Quest where you have like the romantic kind of like shadowy lighting from a distance where I'm like, shirtless Batman, Talia, we're kind of doing the wide shot, kind of the David Lean wide shot from Demon's Quest. And Bruce apologized, and again, he really does like this girl. It's like I'm not trying to be ungrateful. It's just new to me.
Uh-huh.
And she says it'll take several more immersions for it to set in. Just give it time.
Now, at that point, as soon as I heard like the several more immersions, I was like, okay, something is definitely up because they are definitely trying to do something with him.
Real quick, because I missed it.
Because I mean, honestly, in his form right now, I feel like he's good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, as soon as I heard like, oh shit, they're going back for more. Nah, that's sketchy, bro. That's sketchy.
Well, also, so it sets in because the idea is we kind of see here if he doesn't like immerse himself regularly, it will go away. So I think they're trying to like if you set him in at a certain point,
Oh,
it'll feel
that's true.
better.
That's true. Yeah.
Oh, you're right though. It still does seem like like there's always again with the arrogance of youth. There's like the desire for more and more youth.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
also, I wanted to note this before we transition to Bruce waking up. We had like her saying, "Oh, trust me, this it used to be a lot worse," referencing Demon's Quest, and we saw Terry like we had the really suspicious looking shot of Terry saying, "I'm not, I'm not reassured."
Right. Right.
That's not really reassuring. It's like very suspicious look on Terry. Like Terry knows something's up, but he can't snuff it. He can't sniff it out quite yet.
And then speaking of Terry, some of my favorite stuff in this episode is just like Terry and younger Bruce Wayne interacting and like working out together and shit. It's
No joke.
delightful, Dragon.
Tiki, no joke. This is actually
Okay.
Wilfrill's favorite stuff that he ever did, Batman Beyond, because he was
I
able to
could
work
believe
with
it. I could totally believe it.
because he was able to work with young Conroy,
Right, right,
which
right.
he
For sure. For
which he
sure.
never really got to do again. The one time he's ever able to play it like he's actually in Batman the Animated Series.
Uh-huh. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
yeah, it's like firsthand he is seeing his mentor, back in fighting shape here. Like he's like seeing him like in the gym being all
But I
acrobatic.
love just how morally conflicted Bruce is about it. He's just like, it's a cheat, Terry. It's unnatural.
I love the shift though. I love the shift. Like Terry's
Uh-huh.
impressed. Like I've never seen it's impressive to see you at your peak. He says, well, not quite at my peak, but certainly better than I've been capable of in years. And he says, like, the agility, the stamina, it's all coming back to me. And then in that instant, smashes the mirror with the light, disgusted with what he's seeing. And then we have it's unnatural, it's a
Uh-huh.
cheat. And it's, but you're strong again. No, if I stay here, I'll be weaker than ever.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
that's great. And again, I think that gets to like the core of Batman, where Batman can't enjoy life or this band-aid fix for his trauma. Because if he's happy, he's going to forget what he did in the first place, and he knows he's giving in the race's offer. And I'm going to reach. I'm going to go a little further here. Perhaps with the hair thing, he's seeing himself as Ra's, and he's reminded what's wrong with Ra's worldview. Perhaps he's seeing like he's becoming Ra's al
No, I
Ghul
could
right
totally
now.
see that too. Yeah.
So again, it's just the fact that Bruce Wayne he can't take the easy fix. He can't take an easy fix for all his problems. It's not who he is.
Uh,
But I love how we conveyed that in a line, though. I love it's like we don't over explain it. We don't. He doesn't really fully explain how he. We're not doing a therapy session. You just have that moment of like it tells you everything you need to know about him.
he
Just
just has a
wait for that.
gut instinct, which is a very Batman thing.
Exactly, especially with especially being younger. He's definitely kind of seeing like, is this the Batman that I want to be? No, I don't want to be this guy.
Right, right.
It's like no. So anyway, so Bruce is like leaving, and then Carter won't allow that.
God.
So then we have an awesome Batman team up, old man, young man, Batman team up.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
Well, I guess young man, Batman. The point being, they're still, it's like the two Batmen. Did you catch the musical nod?
No, tell me.
We orchestrated this fight scene with the classic Batman theme, which again
Oh,
we had, yeah, which
nice.
is a rarity. We didn't really do that at all in
And
Batman
Batman
Beyond.
Beyond. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So we used like the kind of the classic Batman theme for a moment. We kind of modernized it a little bit. We didn't go full Batman Beyond sync. We kind of used maybe a hair of guitar, but it was like we're doing it.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, so like it's pretty cool seeing Bruce back in action. He tosses Carter into the guards, and then we have again. He's a little light. He's a little lighter here. It's just like after you. It's like Bruce is in a good mood right now, even though like he gets to punch people again. Like giant guys instead of like street punks. All right, so again, as I mentioned, I love all these racial reports. I love that they keep getting destroyed by like throwing people into them. So mid escape, we have the moment here. Mid escape, Bruce Wayne hears that voice he hasn't heard in decades. He hears,
Oh man.
I said I wasn't to be disturbed. We hear David Warner. We hear him. We have this. I'm already excited. Oh my God, he's back! And
Then I love how instantly intense Bruce gets about it.
yes,
Oh my god, it's him! It's him!
it's the gobsmacking moment of he breaks down Talia's door. He
Uh-huh.
runs to Talia,
Uh-huh.
grabs her by the shoulders. It's like, I heard him, Talia. Where's Raish?
Oh, god, this is
And
so
then,
twisted.
oh, the twist, just like Olivia Hussey, just saying, I did not want, and then her like, like the charm and like seductive kind of Talia thing. I didn't want you to find out this way, but I suppose what's done
Detective.
is done. Detective.
Detective.
And
God.
just the reaction, the musical cue of like this, the weirded out musical cue of like, oh my god! It's like if oh my god had a musical soundtrack, it would be
Right,
that.
yeah.
Oh god, and then folks, this is the last time in the DCU we hear David Warner as Raish, and dear God, him coming back, he is not missing a beat. He's
He's
just
only
the
got
one.
about 5 minutes of screen time, but he really makes it work.
You know, if this is the last time we're ever going to hear Ra's al Ghul, it's a way to hear Ra's al Ghul. Oh boy. Okay, so our three. I want to highlight our three-act structure since we're approaching the end here. We're getting close to it, I should say.
Oh, sure.
Very solid three-act structure to this episode. You know, we have a big like oh my god moment to end Act Two. Act One is like, you know, Bruce had that setback where he's decided, basically we youth and sorry, I guess Act One you would say ends with the big like the almost road pizza moment. You know, where Bruce is like he chooses to go for the Lazarus Pit thing. You know, and then we kind of go from there, and we kind of end on this huge revelation. Then it's okay. Let's see what Raish has cooking now.
Uh-huh.
All right. Okay, so Terry's in kind of so Carl and Mike, they're about to toss Terry into this crocodile pit. We have like this one weird guy, like I think it's Carl or Mikey, who likes to watch. Oh, it's nice to watch though.
I was like, okay, Denny from the room. Thanks for your input.
Yep. So something to mention with like the crocodile thing, the base, and also Talia's outfit. Anytime Batman goes against Ra's al Ghul, it's a Bond movie. So we have all the Bond trappings, which in this case it feels
Totally,
more.
totally.
I
Yeah.
like with this Bond though, it feels a little bit more with the crocodiles and everything. It feels a little more, Timothy Dalton Bond, and I kind of like that. But yes, so we have Talia in the awesome Bond girl suit, looking great, and again maybe a little too great for what we know.
Right, right.
And yes, so we have just the great revelation here. David Warner just on fire, saying like, "I see old age has not softened you as I feared, detective," or something along those lines. This is like, I should have figured you cheated death. We get Raish. It's like, I don't cheat death, I master it.
Oh yeah, there's some. I love this. Is I really like this confrontation between Bruce and Raish slash Talia, I guess,
So this is
because it really is like a battle of philosophies more than anything else, which is exactly what the Batman versus Ra's al Ghul thing comes down to.
yeah, because again they're evenly matched. Like Raish has the fortitude from years and years of experience where Batman's dedicated his life to measure up to that. So they're such great foils for each other. You know that there's the intellectual things that it's a game of chess. It's always been a game of chess with them, very literally.
Uh
You
huh.
know, I bring that up because they've actually played chess in the comics. Like they've literalized that, like the whole chess game thing. It's anyway. But yeah, so we have this. It's just such a masterfully acted scene too. And again, Conroy just doing phenomenal here. Just this whole reveal about the
We
sad
have a great Conroy, by the way,
Tiki.
because there's a lot. There's
I
obviously a lot
know
of contenders here.
it is wall to wall great Conroy. God, for me, I don't know. On the rewatch, I do really like. Even a few years ago, I could have gotten both of us to safety because there's a lot of sadness in that line, like that. The ending line too of the episode's really good. There's a lot of really good
I,
good
I mean,
Conroy.
even the opening line with the whole like "you hate me, don't you?"
No, no, even less than that. Just it's Schwarbage.
Right, right, yeah, exactly, exactly.
I don't
Just
know.
in this whole episode is a great Conroy episode.
I would say
I feel
so.
like that's the only way we're going to do this.
I mean, Tiki, this episode is a love letter to Bruce Wayne. It's his birthday, and again, this is just it's a celebration of the old and young Batman. We're playing both, and this is Conroy's master class for Batman Beyond. So it's kind of hard to
All right, there we go. There we go.
Anyway, but we have this wonderfully acted scene here where we reveal what happened to Talia, and I love the pain behind Conroy's voice here, where he's like he reveals like I'm afraid to say our last encounter did leave my body broken beyond repair, and required Talia. I called upon Talia to make the ultimate sacrifice,
Uh-huh.
and just like it came, but my return came at a great cost. And then we see Bruce just kind of look down, very sad, and Talia. It's like the way he says that, it's just like, oh, just the loss of like the love of his life gone, and the twisted nature of Raish. He asked his daughter to give her life for him, and like she didn't volunteer it. he asked her because he said he called upon her to do this. So that's just
I imagine
twisted.
that's especially heartbreaking considering the last time that Bruce saw Talia, they were working hand in hand to like overthrow Raish.
Yeah.
So it's like one of those things where like, no matter what you do to rehabilitate her, the sins of the father are always going to define her life.
A lot of times in the modern context when we revisit Talia, a lot of times we kind of transition her more to villain than we do in between. The animated series and classically we kind of put Talia in between her father and the man she loves. And I think that's the really interesting place to be with her. And because of that dilemma, Tiki, because at the end of the day, she is torn between those two people. She agrees more with Batman, but she loves her father, and even if her father's in the wrong, she still loves her father, and she has to stand by him, and she's
Uh-huh.
duty bound to him, and that's why she gave her life for him without question. And what's even sadder about it is the fact that Raish, while I'm sensing maybe inklings of guilt. The way he says it was necessary, and the fact of the matter is, Rachel's lived a lot of lives. He's had a lot of kids.
Uh-huh.
That's what's really sad about that, and I think that's what just really pisses Batman off even more. And then we have that great line. This is another great comic book contender here. Just the whole, I take it back. You don't cheat death. You whimper in fear of it.
Okay, that might honestly be the
Yeah,
one right there. Honestly,
I
honestly.
know. There's a lot of great ones, but that might take the cake.
Yeah, yeah.
So Raish's plan here is quite ingenious. He had the way he basically he downloaded his brain into a close genetic match with this computer that he had for this contingency. Basically, Ra's al Ghul looking to ways. Ra's al Ghul knew the Lazarus Pit would not sustain him forever, so any other side plots in the DCA, which we saw in that the last time we saw Ra's was the Batman Superman crossover, in which he used like a magic staff to steal Superman's strength, which would have sustained him instead of a Lazarus Pit. So he was looking into alternatives. So this does make sense. He would have had a computer to download his consciousness into another body, but at the time the limitation was it had to be a close familial match, which
Uh-huh.
sadly means Talia. So over the years, he's perfected that. So it could be someone like Bruce Wayne, who would be the ideal candidate if he could, youth him up. And in a way, he would get what he always wanted, which is Batman to be his successor, which is ingenious. And I love that in the writing.
Uh-huh.
So, so again, that's just so he's played the long con this whole time, and like the idea he can. It's basically Ra's al Ghul inhabiting Talia's body. It's such a violation. It's so wrong, but it's so Dini at the same time.
It is very Dini-esque for sure.
Because it makes sense. It's twisted, but it's sick and wrong in all the right ways. Let's see. Oh, by the way, remember, this is also kind of a fun kind of thing. The whole like, sure, Raish, why not? Anything to hold off the Grim Reaper for a few more seconds. This is the way he just like turns. Sure, Raish, he's all happy and smiley. It's sure, why not?
Yep.
Okay. So meanwhile, Batman takes out Carter. He's going to come to the rescue here for Bruce. Ra's al Ghul calls out how Bruce Wayne is. He took his offer. He gave in the weakness there. It's like I planned that whole car thing. I planned. I took that blow to your ego. The mugging and the girl with the thing. His plan was to return to Gotham as the long lost heir of Bruce Wayne, which predates Damian Wayne, by the way. The whole Talia Bruce having a kid thing predates it. Anyway, so let's see. Big thing here. Batman shows up. Batman shows up to save the day. He says, "You know what, man? You're really creeping me out." He's like, "You." He kissed me. So that's kind of the big laugh of the episode. It's another, it's kind of a lighthearted Conroy. I don't know, maybe. But yeah, this is what I'm talking about. Like during this whole sequence, if you notice, like Rachel, when he's doing his big monologue, it's when he's like flipping the hair and he's doing like the hip swaying. Like he is that hybrid. You're right. He is that hybrid of it's Talia's body, but Rachel in the driver's seat. Which is just. But the fact he's committed to the bit. It's like reflexes he can't control.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So we have a Batman versus Ra's al Ghul battle. Terry kind of outclassed. Here's the suit's getting slashed. Bruce almost getting his head chopped off during the action. Ra's gets the crap shocked out of him. We see this great little like shadow gag with Ra's face, and then we escape. But Ra's has to go back for that computer, and it almost works out for him. It almost does.
Can I just add that when Batman and when Bruce and Terry escape, I love how they escape via a Die Hard style explosion.
Yep, and plus Bruce wearing like the the Die Hard wife beater T-shirt thing. It's kind of fitting. Anyway, yeah. So they escape. We have this nice moment there where the Lazarus Pit ignites, and again Ra's gets killed by the Lazarus Pit, which is a fitting fate for him, I think.
Uh-huh.
But we have this moment where Terry's willing to go back in to try and save her, and Bruce just says, whatever's in there died years ago. Which is a great bittersweet line for him. Just like Talia's gone, Ray should have been gone. Don't go back in.
Uh-huh.
So then we have our really nice melancholy, kind of like bittersweet ending here, where we're in the Batcave again. We see that Bruce is like, we established that okay, the youth is going to wear off. It won't last forever. Probably like a month. It'll be gone. There's a little bit more gray each day. And like they have a nice moment between Terry and Bruce, where Terry says like, I'm sure it sounds like she was a really good person. So like, yes, she was. She was something. Was she the one? Is like, shouldn't you go on patrol? Like, get out of here. Stop talking about my love life, kid. And then we hit this bit that just breaks my heart in all the right ways, man. Just we see he did have a picture of Talia, them in that bistro in Milan, and just him like saying, because he never really said the words ever in the history of the DCA. He never really said the words. He said, "Rest well, beloved." Like he said goodbye to Talia, and he called her beloved. Like that, man. That's sad and beautiful. Just Bruce Wayne hobbling out of the cave, like he's on his way. He's accepting old age with grace, and he's turning his back on the Al Ghul family.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, that's it.
Okay, well, Dragon, this was definitely a big episode, and honestly, towards the end of it, I think you probably noticed, I felt a little self-conscious because I feel like you were doing so good of a job of summing it all up, I didn't really have a lot to add. I'm like, yep, that is certainly what happened, and it is certainly cool, so I apologize for that. Yeah, definitely a big one in season 3. Again, I know this is probably an unpopular opinion. I think I actually like the last one a little bit more. I just really responded to that character. It was a great, one. It's kind of interesting how this episode very much is like, I feel like the two episodes are almost kind of diametrically opposed, right? Where the last one is all Batman Begins. It's all an original character, an original storyline, very much something that Terry's dealing with. Bruce is only really there for comic relief, more or less, to a certain extent. This episode is obviously predicated on the Batman lore. You are not going to get as much out of this episode if you haven't watched Batman the Animated Series. So with that in mind, well, I still really respect this episode. It's great. Tour de force on Conroy's part, obviously. I think both episodes really stand apart and stand alone, and they're both pretty fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, look, big time is a solid episode, but this is a Hall of Famer, man. I got a lot of love for Out of the Past. I mean, I don't know if it's let me this way. Out of the Past, I don't know if I'd say it's the best episode of Ed and Beyond, but it's certainly up there. Okay, there's a lot of good contenders, and at the end, my heart of hearts, I would probably not put this in number one spot, but it is definitely top 5 material. This is a phenomenal episode. It's Dini's writing at the top of its game. It's again, I'm a sucker for Ra's al Ghul, and I think this is a great kind of send off for that character. Again, maybe near Apocalypse 09 in written form, but just throw it out there.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, this is a beautiful episode. It's a nice testament to the character, to the sacrifices that Batman makes that make us love him. And yeah, it's just it's a special one. I love it. I've been waiting to get to this one for a while, and we passed it.
Okay. All right. Well, big thanks to Kogias, Little Blue, as well as Lucas Green. I think only popped up once, but he was here. So yeah, Dragon, take us out. What's the next one?
Poachers on the prowl, super intelligent apes, a primate with a mission. Can Batman stop an ape from wreaking havoc? Will Matt Reeves be taking notes? Tune in next time to find out. Same animated bat time, same animated bat place.
On the next visit to Batcave Beyond with Speak No Evil.
It's Schwarbage.
Detective.